rolling, free sparring. It's what makes Jiu-Jitsu so dynamic. It's what allows for limitless growth. It's what makes it the most effective martial art on the planet. But it's also the #1 reason why most people quit before the 6-month mark. At every Jiu-Jitsu academy, students are introduced to sparring, the idea of, one person grappling intensely against another person, both trying to choke each other out. They're introduced to sparring at some point, some on day 1 at most academies, some after a month of training, some after 6 months, or some, like the Gracie Academy, after they spend almost a year or more learning purely self-defense for a non-Jiu-Jitsu opponent, and then they're introduced to how to spar against someone who knows Jiu-Jitsu. It doesn't matter if you begin rolling on day 1 or day 100. One thing is for sure, every single person who begins sparring against other Jiu-Jitsu opponents for the first time ranks that experience as one of, if not the most demoralizing, discouraging, humbling, painful experience of their lives. How you navigate the first 6 months of Jiu-Jitsu sparring will determine whether you join the club of lifelong Jiu-Jitsu practitioners or whether you pack up your bags early and go home. Now, it's been a long time since I was a beginner. So I don't really qualify. I don't really know what it's like to be new to sparring because I was coming out of the womb already ready to roll pretty much. But yeah.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. You don't really, you are not an expert at sucking at Jiu-Jitsu. Whereas I, on the other hand, know very well what it feels like to be demoralized and to feel completely lost sparring and to feel that frustration, and it's very fresh and very new for me. So that's why I qualified to talk on this.
That's what's up. She's here.
Right. And not only that, but we've had friends and students recently who've reached out to us who are right in this 6 months period of who've just started sparring and they're getting demoralized and they're they're talking about they want to stick with it because they've invested so much, but having that
they already 1 foot out the door. They're already 1 foot out the door. Like, this is freaking crazy.
Yes.
This is crazy.
And so we
2 people trying to choke each other and we're grown human adults.
And we've had this talk with them and we realized we need to have this with everyone. We need to have this. Every person who starts their sparring careers needs to hear these.
Well, and we made the video of, the what is a Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, and we talked about how we wait on the introduction of sparring for so long, and we made the conclusion that the longer you delay sparring in the beginning of someone's career, the longer the lifespan of their career will be. And how 90% of people, leave in that first 6 months to a year, more than 90%, because it's not handled correctly. So we made some changes internally, but it doesn't matter what your system is. When a new student, day 1 or day 100, begins sparring, it's gonna be crazy.
Yes,
so,
and that is why we made this video, to teach you the 3 most important life-saving tips to help you navigate through the craziness that will be your first 6 months of sparring.
The tornado. Number 1, convert enemies to allies. Number 2, focus on survival over submissions. And number 3, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. You guys, when we published that video, what is a Jiu-Jitsu blue belt on YouTube, published it about 2 months ago, and since then has acquired, over 100,000 views. And what's fascinating is in that video we talk about the chaos and the emotional damage that is done to someone who is thrown into sparring with no preparation and goes into a class at some random academy, and it's chaos. What's crazy is that video, over 100,000 views, over 400 comments, and the #1 comment on the video, which discusses belts and sparring and the immediacy and the chaos, the #1 comment reads as follows, and I quote, from the Land Standard: "What you described was exactly my experience of Jiu-Jitsu. Going for the first time and sparring with people who'd been training for 6 months to a year, getting injured and never going back. I'm glad you're taking a different approach." You guys. And that's the most liked comment on the entire video.
Which means many other people have had that exact same experience.
Of absolute chaos. So now, here's the thing. We can't control when your BJJ Academy encourages and allows sparring. But what we can do is teach you,
how to make the most
as the victim of the chaos, how to basically make the most and ultimately survive that first 6 months. Because after 6 months, you'll have kind of found your footing. You'll know what's up. You'll be more comfortable. You'll know enough techniques not to get hurt or hurt anyone. And you'll know how to tread water. Number 1, convert enemies to allies. Here's the deal. When you spar, your training partner's most important role is to defend the belt. Unless you give them a more important role. This is major. And this is in the wake of the era where it's all about belts and ranks. And if you're a purple, you have to tap a blue. And if you're a brown, you have to tap a purple. And there was, a brown belt at some academy in Brazil who got demoted to purple belt, by his peers, by his instructor in the class, publicly shamed for it. Like, why are you wearing this brown belt? You don't deserve it. You're actually a purple belt. And they took him. So the bottom line is there's very much an aura of, if you're this, you better smash on this.
And the truth is that's the nature of jiu-jitsu. That's why we choose belts, because chances are a purple belt's going to be a blue belt. And a brown belt's going to be a purple belt.
So the question is, how can we essentially recruit and turn an enemy, someone whose purple is designed to smash the blue, into an ally?
You have to give them significance, and a significance that's more important than their belt rank, which is allowing them to kind of help you and become an instructor for you and to give them that fulfillment.
So we call it sensei significance over smasher significance. And this is so major, you guys. This is so major. You need to give them permission to help you. Because what you want to create is a dynamic where that person identifies themselves as someone who is respected as an instructor, at least in your little jiu-jitsu journey.
And for their knowledge, for what they have.
Yes.
And that is the hardest part is that you have to give them permission, right? Because naturally, when two people go to spar, they don't think their role is to help you.
Even a more advanced person.
Even a more advanced. They're trying to survive against higher belts than them. So when they go to spar, they're thinking, all right, we're gonna do this, we're gonna roll. And unless you are very clear with them about kind of your position and maybe your discomfort with sparring or what you want to accomplish from the role, they're not going to offer you any advice. They're not going to offer you.
They're not instructors. They don't qualify. They don't feel, a purple belt does not feel certified to teach a blue belt while they're rolling. What are they thinking? I got to defend the purple. Here's the problem. They don't identify with themselves with the coaching role unless you grant them that permission. This is so major.
It really is. This changed everything for me and made what at one time just felt like I was in a blender for 5 minutes at a time to actually feeling productive in a sparring session. Was me allowing somebody, giving them that permission to say, give me a few tips here and there, and we'll talk a little bit about how to actually do that.
And the thing is this. I, for example, as a jiu-jitsu instructor, I identify myself as that role. No one needs to tell me, Henner, you can give me some tips right here, or how would I pass the guard here, or what should I do here? I'm going to tell you anyways, because I just, in my very nature and my DNA, am here to teach jiu-jitsu. That's why I exist on this earth. And other high-level instructors do the same way, which is why for a newer student to roll with the instructor is the most pleasant role in the whole room, because I'm not going to prove anything by smashing on a white or blue belt. It doesn't do anything for me. Instead, for me with that person, what am I thinking? How can I make them a little bit better than they are? And what's crazy is that recently we posted a video of me sparring with my good friend Tamba Hali from the Kansas City Chiefs, 275-pound solid muscle, NFL Pro Bowler many times. And I rolled with him as I do so many times every summer, and I posted the video online. And what's fascinating is that video, talking about videos, that video has been viewed over 400,000 times, and the number one comment on that video, besides the fact that my towel move was so legit, for those who've seen it, if you haven't, check it out, it's hilarious. Besides that hilarious comment and that moment of the video, the number one comment was the following, and I quote, from Termat01. I love the way you roll, Henner. Always technical, never using power, letting your lower belts work, giving them opportunities to try stuff, as opposed to some training partners I came across who just go all out on lower ranked people. That lower ranked person being me. Smiley face. I hate that. I'm still a white belt and a very average one on top of that. With a purple belt or even when a purple belt or even a blue belt goes all out at me, I'm just like, dude, really? Now you have that big ego. You can be proud you destroyed a 140-pound white belt using all your techniques and all your strength. What does that prove? 91 likes on that comment, which means what? People out there are fiending for training partners who can be good training partners. So even with Tamba...
Yeah, and he's actually said that to you. something very similar,
Yes.
right?
Tamba's number one thing is like, Henner, man, I love coming out here. I just feel like when I roll with you and Hidon, it's like you guys are better than me, but you guys are always teaching me during the roll. You're always giving me guidance, and more importantly, you guys let me work the moves I need to work. So when I teach Tamba a move as his instructor, my number one goal is that I challenge him in the roll, but that he uses the move that I just taught him.
Now, some people might be saying, well, that's your job. You're the instructor.
Right.
That's your job. That's what you're getting paid for.
Right.
But you would probably agree that you also learn from that. And that one of the best ways to learn for yourself is to help somebody else and to guide them and to teach them. So one of the best ways of learning is actually teaching.
And if I were to spar with Tamba as Henner Gracie, 100%. It wouldn't be fun for him. It wouldn't be fun for me. It would be, I'm too experienced. I have the experience gap that it's not going to be pleasant. It wouldn't even be fun to watch. It would just be like locked up and I would just be 100%. Instead, when I spar with Tamba, what is it? It's called Tamba +1. So don't get it twisted. He gets tapped and he gets challenged, but I'm right there with him, letting him use techniques that he's learned, trying to get him to employ the moves that I've taught him. And when Tamba uses the move that I taught him against me, how do I feel? Tell him.
You feel good.
Boom! I feel as good as I feel when I choke out a resistant black belt who I'm going toe-to-toe with. So my point is, my significance in that engagement is that of a sensei more so than that of a smasher.
Mm-hmm. Now the question is, how do you do this, right? Especially because, okay, all right, everyone spar. You know, we've got, first thing is what? Finding a training partner.
Right.
That's the first step. And we talked a little bit about this in the
Rolling with the opposite
sex video. But as a woman, it's hard for certain reasons. But even as a brand new blue belt, it's
or
just
white
hard.
Belt, anybody,
or a white belt, it's hard. Somebody who just knows, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. Does this higher belt even want to spar with me? Because what can I offer them? They're just going to destroy me. So there's all these thoughts going through your head when you're trying to find like a training partner. So there's already that intimidation. And so one thing that we really recommend is that instead of, you want to roll?
Right. Hey,
right?
Want to roll?
Hey, you want to roll? Right. It's a little bit like, and it's not a challenge because of course rolling is part of jiu-jitsu, but it can kind of feel that way. And when you don't even feel like
right, when a blue belt looks at a purple belt and says, "Hey, want to roll?" That purple belt says, "Yeah, let's roll."
Yeah, let's do it.
And in their head, they're thinking, "I'm gonna show him a roll." It starts off, and it's not. Everyone says it every single day, and I say it, and everyone says it.
Of course.
But the point is, we're just trying to give those brand new survival sparring tips in the very beginning for that first 6 months, how to create engagements that are more cooperative and productive than they are humiliating and destructive.
Yes.
So
my suggestion would be to say, do you have a partner yet? Do you have a training partner?
Do you have a partner?
Do you have a partner?
Hey,
because
do you have a partner?
We're partners, right? We're working together.
Interesting.
And it's like they don't have to, if they really don't want to spar with you, or maybe they they do want to spar with somebody more advanced.
They just say, "Yeah, I have a partner," or "He's in the bathroom."
Yeah.
That's a good point. So the negative, when you say, "Do you want to roll?" Say, "Do you want to roll?"
You want to roll?
No. The negative to "Do you want to roll?" is the word no. Now ask me if I have a partner.
Do you have a partner yet?
Yeah.
All right.
The negative to "Do you have a partner?" is the word yes, meaning the denying of a roll to "Do you have a partner?" is the word yes. It's almost like asking a girl out on a date. I don't do that anymore, except for my wife here. But it's almost like saying,
occasionally go on dates. Very
yeah, especially now. It's almost like asking a girl out on a date and say, "Hey, do you want to go on a date?" You leave her no choice but to say no, and then it smashes you. Okay? Or you can say, "Hey, are you busy tomorrow night? Do you have a partner? Are you busy tomorrow?" And then she can easily say, "Yeah,
actually, I am busy.
Yeah, I have a meeting with some friends."
Yeah.
It allows an easy out. So the engagement, how you initially engage with the training partner, affects the dynamic of the role. And a considerate, "Hey, do you have a partner yet?" question will go a long way in terms of preserving a collaborative, cooperative partner vibe versus a, "Yeah, let's roll," which is so common.
It's true. And then once you establish that partnership, okay, so now we're about to spar. It's not quite enough to just say, to leave it kind of open and expect them just to teach you everything they know and just say, "Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing," or "Go easy on me." It's not effective, right? You need to make this role progressive for you, and you need to be a little bit more specific as to what you want. And by being specific, now again, you're identifying them as that kind of sensei significance, right? Giving them that significance in the sparring session.
Which is the most important thing, because if that person identifies themselves as the teacher because you made them and you helped them identify that, their eagerness to see you succeed, like I do with Tamba, goes through the roof.
Right.
Tell them how to do that.
So in order to do that, we need to be specific, right? So an example of this is straight up just like a script that you can use, which is, hey, you know what? I don't really know what I'm doing from inside the guard. I don't know any guard passes. Can you show me a guard pass? Then they can show you one maybe, and then you say, great, can we start from inside the guard, and then I can work on those passes, right? So it's a very specific goal. It's a specific position, and it's something specific you're asking them. And then they can show you something, and then you use it, and then you can keep going sparring.
So good.
So this isn't turning into like, you know, a complete private lesson one-on-one, but it's showing you one thing, and then from there, and naturally, because they just showed you that guard pass, they're going to want you to succeed at it. So, right. So they'll give you a couple tips, or they'll kind of let you pass, or, you know, kind of adjust something if it needs to be, and then you'll keep going from there. But now what? You've learned one thing from that sparring session in a specific thing that you know is an area of weakness, which is, I don't know what to do from inside the guard. So. And
you thank them for it, right? Yes. When you use it, thank you, that's a great pass. And can we start the sparring roll from here? So it's very simple, you guys. I don't know what I'm doing in the blank. Can you show me one blank? And they're gonna show you something. So hey, can you give a partner? No, come on, let's roll. Great. Now listen, I don't know what I'm doing in the half guard. Can you show me one pass? Yeah, sure. They're gonna get on top, they're gonna show one pass, great. Now, can we start from here so I can try it? Can we start the roll from here so I can try it? This is so genius, you guys.
And then, of course, so how you start is important, but then also how the roll finishes, meaning eventually they're gonna tap you, right? Because that's the nature of the game. So they're gonna tap you, and when that happens, also learning from that and taking from every tap situation. So when that happens, okay, great, what did I do wrong, or how did you set that up, and kind of dissecting each submission that, you know, that they
how
take
you
from
treat
that's
the
another
taps.
Way to.
So that what we're identifying is there are two critical engagements, we'll call them. One is when you shake hands and start. If you say, hey, you got a part, you want to roll? Cool. Boom, and you jump on this advanced belt, get ready to get hammered. Smash into a pulp, you guys. The worst case scenario blender. It's gonna happen. And the harder you fight, the harder they hammer. That's number one. The first engagement is just pairing up with them and, hey, let's roll, or hey, you know, do you have a partner? That whole situation. The second engagement is when you get tapped. If after you get tapped, your eyes get bigger, you shake hands again, you fist bump, and you jump on them, that's game on now. Forget the fact that I coached you in the half guard, I showed you one pass. Now it's survival, and you better survive, homie, because I'm gonna smash you. The point is, Eve is saying, as soon as the tap happens, how you treat it determines whether you respect the person in their role of instructor to you, or whether you forget what was
a challenger.
Boom, now it's on. You caught me. Let's go. So, treating the taps with, hey, wow, that was sick. Where did I go wrong? What could I have done differently to avoid that? In other words, give it another teaching opportunity for the coach in this engagement. And then, let's say they caught you in a triangle from the mount, and they said, hey, you know, your arm shouldn't have been around my body. Your arm should have been down tucked in like this. Okay, can we start from here? Can we start from here, and can you do that again, please? Can you try it again? And then they go for the mounted triangle, but this time, they're not gonna go 250%. They're going 80%, 70%, just to see if you listen to their coaching. And then you listen and you effectively did it. And hey, go for the triangle, let me try that move. Boom, and you defend it. Oh man, thank you, that worked, that's so helpful. Now what are they feeling? What is this coach feeling right now?
Pretty good. They feel like they gave you something. They feel like they offered something to you and that they helped someone. And now by you executing that well, they kind of feel like some ownership over that, some responsibility.
They love it. So the whole point is you converted their enemy into an ally. You converted their smashing significance, defend the belt, into a significance of I'm their teacher.
And the other good thing about that is once you do that once, you don't really need to do that every time you spar now, because now this person knows.
Set.
Yeah, the vibe is set. So from here on out, they kind of know they're like one of your instructors,
one of your coaches,
your coaches throughout your sparring,
and they might not feel like that for anyone else in the whole room. But as long as you've made them feel like that for you, that's all that matters. They are your personal jiu-jitsu coach, and every time you roll, you gain tips from them, and you appreciate and you show that appreciation.
Yeah.
Number 2, survival over submissions.
Yeah. Speaking of submissions.
Oh, the measuring stick.
Yeah, I just remember the day that I just realized that my only goal in life right now is just to survive. Because if you go in thinking, all right,
I'm gonna catch people.
Now we're sparring, and the indication for me progressing or getting better at jiu-jitsu is how many people I tap. In the beginning, you won't.
It makes sense. You're not gonna. That's it. If your measuring stick is how many taps you get, you will quit in the first 6 months.
Because it won't happen. You're not going to tap somebody who
it just makes sense. You're here. You're this compared to all of this. Now, as you get better over the years, you might be this person who you tap these people, but you can still get smashed by these people, and you're kind of in the middle there. But in the beginning, when you just welcome to the party, it doesn't matter wherever school you train at. It doesn't matter when they introduce you to sparring. When you begin sparring, you're going to have that feeling of overwhelm and that feeling of not being able to catch any moves that you know or don't know or be able to submit anyone. And if your only measuring stick of progress is submission, you're done. You have no chance. Just turn off the video right now, go home, pack up your bags, and go sign up for some other martial art.
So then what should be your measuring stick? It should be surviving, right? Surviving, and just, I just remember the first 2 years of sparring, that was my only goal, was just to become that annoying person that somebody couldn't submit the way that they wanted to. Survival is winning in the beginning. And if you can change your mindset to really believe that and focus on that. And
give it credit as a victory,
Yes, that is your victory. Then surviving, not getting, only getting tapped twice in a row instead of 5 times, which happened last time. Those are your victories.
It doesn't matter whether you're a student here at the academy, embarking on the jiu-jitsu sparring, or you're a student in a random BJJ school and you've been training for 1 week and you're like about to quit. Here's the bottom line. There are 3 essential phases of progress that take place for the first 6 months of the sparring journey, regardless of when you embark on that. There are 3 unique phases of progress. Phase 1 is observation, phase 2 is prevention, and phase 3 is application. Every technique goes through this process. Phase 1, observation, is that of simply recognizing the moves and the patterns of movement and techniques. So to be able to just be looking at someone and say, oh, now, they're mounted and they're gonna begin trying to isolate arms or reaching for the neck. Just recognizing that's what they're gonna try to do in that position. Observation and pattern recognition. Technique observation and pattern recognition. That's the first several months. You're just down there like trying to put pieces together. The second phase is once you've done enough observation, you can now focus on prevention. To say, wait, I know what he wants to do from the mount. He wants to do this or this. Times. Yeah, because I've been caught and I've been paying attention to those patterns, and I've asked enough people to give me advice and input in my sensei, so to speak. So now it's prevention. So you can very much like stop the arm lock, stop the choke, neutralize this. Don't give them your back because you know it's so dangerous. Prevention is phase 2. Several months of just neutralizing. And of course the time frame at each phase differs for everyone. We're giving a general window here.
For me, that was like 2 years.
Survival mode. And then only once you can observe things happening, prevent them from happening on you, might you be able to apply phase 3 application, apply them on someone else. That's it, you guys. This is the learning process and what you will undergo for the first 6 months or more to a year in jiu-jitsu. Which means what? As you embark, don't look for submissions. Look for observation opportunities. Look for prevention opportunities. And then 6 months later, when you kind of pop your head out, then look for an application, a chance to use a move that's been used on you for so long.
And naturally, by learning prevention, you're better understanding the application, and the submissions that are coming your way. So naturally, eventually, you're going to...
You've observed enough, you've prevented enough to now catch them. Here's what's crazy. Right. Even purple belts go through this process. Let's say I have a new guillotine that I'm working on, and every single person I go with, I catch. So there's a purple belt who hasn't been caught in that guillotine, and I start catching him. What's his first thing he has to do? Observe the way I'm setting up the guillotine on their neck. Rah, 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 rah. Finally, he puts the piece together after a few months and says, man, Henry, I see where you're setting that up. I see where you're shooting that in. What's he gonna do next? Prevent me from catching it. Boom, boom, boom. Yes! And that purple belt celebrates because they've been around long enough, they kind of made it out of the tornado the first 6 months, that they do that. They like, yes, I survived 1 guillotine. They celebrate the way we're teaching you guys to celebrate in the beginning, right? Purple belts are just more liberal with their emotions in that regard. Oh my God, I slipped out of 1 triangle the Henry set up, and I finally got to see when he set it up and I slipped out of it. And what's crazy is, as excited as that purple belt might get from surviving my triangle, as the person who tried the triangle and failed, in my mind, I'm like, yo, you just tapped me out. You just won. You progressed. That's a huge victory. So I attribute that as a victory. He attributes that as a victory. The problem is brand new sparring candidates or victims don't attribute that as a victory. They just don't even know what to look for as their measuring stick.
That's right.
And we gotta fix the measuring sticks, you guys. After celebrating the release and the escape of triangles for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, they get out again. Finally, they catch someone else. Not necessarily the person who caught them, but usually someone around their level with the same guillotine or the same triangle that they were victimized with for so long. You guys, this is huge. That's the application phase. So the point is, every belt level goes through this. You observe, you prevent, and you apply every technique that ever happens to you and that you learn through osmosis.
You know what this is like? The bamboo tree.
The bamboo tree, you guys. Bamboo tree with perfect soil, perfect fertilizer, and watering for up to 5 years will not show any above ground, look,
Nothing.
progress. Which means what? Is progress not happening? No, because underground is growing. And then in the 5th year, 6th year, 7th year, 8th year, or later, it might grow up to 80 feet in 1 year. So to look at a bamboo and say above ground progress is phase 3, it's application, it's submission.
Yeah.
To say that there wasn't progress in phases 1 and 2 before the submissions began is a gross understatement at best. You guys, the bamboo tree. So find new measuring sticks of progress. Otherwise, you won't last 6 months. Survival over submissions. Boom.
Yes.
Number 3.
Number 3.
It's the most important one because number 1 and 2 don't matter without number 3. Gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, hey, teach me all your moves, right? Teach me everything you know.
Right.
And
Peace out.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm gonna go choke you with them.
Yeah. It's not going to work that way, right? There has to be an exchange here, and you have to really be sincere in the fact that if you're asking somebody to share their techniques and their skills with you, we have to have gratitude for that. We have to show them gratitude.
Yeah. So the thing is this. When I teach a guy like Tamba and he comes to me after and says, man, Henry, I love coming all the way out to California for the entire summer to train with you guys because, man, I roll and you guys show me while we're rolling. You guys don't try to hurt me. You guys really try to teach me. Even in the intense spar, you're coaching me every step of the way. In terms of gratitude, in terms of my fulfillment, right, with Tamba or any other student here in the building who says, man, there's some that are really effective at showing their gratitude, and they say, man, Henner, every time I roll, man, I learn so much. Every time I roll, every little thing you do, it's like, I love.
What does that make you want to do next time you spar with him?
I want to coach him more. Yeah. Because they show gratitude for the help that I do. And this goes for anyone in any field of any endeavor ever.
Of course, yeah.
Show appreciation and expect more of where that came from. Because appreciation, it's a universal currency that holds its value regardless of the economy.
That was deep.
That's gratitude, the universal currency. And ultimately, would you rather have one instructor, whoever your head instructor is at your school, or 100 instructors who care passionately about your progress on your path to black belt? What would you rather have? 100. And
even if that one is you.
The creation, yes. That you're better off with 100 and maybe one of the 100.
Yes.
Go get 99 others, Eve. And what's crazy is that gratitude is essentially the currency that identifies those people as your instructors, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, right? Because the truth is, the fact that people come to the academy and pay for classes and I teach them, that's how they identify me as their teacher. Henry, we're paying you, teach us. But you're not going to pay your purple belt or brown belt training partner, hey, here's $20, thanks for the coach. No, what you are going to pay them with, though, is gratitude, and it's worth more than money. Okay, so at that point, they're going to go, yeah, they appreciate me so much that they paid me for my helping of them. And that payment I'm talking about is gratitude.
And that really is the best part about teaching and helping somebody. And again, this goes back to almost feeling like, well, I don't qualify to teach anyone. I'm just a blue belt or a 3-stripe blue belt or, But the truth is, you always have something to offer somebody who's
newer than you.
Who's
yeah.
newer than you.
Yeah.
You have some technique. You have something you've learned. You have something that you can give them. And so by recognizing that and by them showing you that gratitude, that exchange is going to keep
happening. And just to be clear, it's not good enough for you to roll with people and just derive techniques from them and take lessons and ideas and techniques and moves from them. In order for this equation to work and be successful, that person who you just took the move from has to identify themselves as one of your coaches.
Yes, as a contributor to your progress.
They can't, because here's the difference. If we roll and you just pick up 3 or 4 of my moves just by watching and leave without saying anything, you stole my techniques. I'm not against that. I'm all for it. Everyone can steal whoever they want in jiu-jitsu. Take the knowledge all you can. But if you want to create 100 coaches, that's your goal, guess what? On the way out, gratitude is what tells me that I actually contributed to you. So,
yeah, because if
huge
I don't
deal.
tell you how valuable that what information you just
I'm
gave
just
me or
rolling
what
normal.
you shared, he'll never know.
And here's the reason why that's so. You can say, well, what's the point? Who cares? If I steal it and I'm getting better, what's the point? Well, the point is this 6 months of tornado sparring, you want people to roll with you who identify themselves. When they go home at night and they come back in the morning and they come to class, they think, where's my disciple? Where's my student that I helped grow? Because if they see you that way, when they roll with you, they're going to tamba and henner you. They're going to go and roll with the goal of making you productive, effective, and help you grow more than, who am I going to smash on today? Where's that kid I can just go beat up to show how bad my purple belt is? Do you understand? My point is you want them to identify with that role because then they want to uphold their title as your coach. My point is that coach title is not established until gratitude is given. Oh, it's so major. It's so major, you guys. So at the end of the day, sparring for the first 6 months, regardless of whether you're starting fresh at a school with white belt brand new, we hope that someone sent you this video on your first day of class because you're going to need it. Or whether you've been training for a year and then you begin sparring after that with a more jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu focus. It doesn't matter when it begins, it's going to be freaking crazy. That's the fact.
And especially for the Gracie Academy students, here we have actually separate technique and spar classes. So there's technique class first, then spar class second, which means that you can spar at your own pace too. That's the other thing, is that you don't have to feel like, all right, now I'm in master cycle, or now I'm in sparring classes and I have to spar every day and I have to go every sparring.
Right.
You don't have to do that. If you just want to kind of get into master cycle and really feel
continue learning the moves and continue
and
get more
understand
comfortable.
every position a little better. Maybe just a few sparring sessions a day that you take something from, go write down some notes, and then come back the next day for more sparring.
Pace.
Spar at your own pace.
Well,
Don't
here's
feel
what's crazy.
pressured.
I don't spar intensely every single day. Right? I might spar like all out with guys who are other freaking top dogs here 3 days a week. And then the other 3 days a week, what am I doing? Rolling with blues and purples and lowers and whites and just, what I'm saying, the newer white belts who just qualify for Master Side. These people, I'm like, hey, just move around and connect, and what can I help them with? And like Henner plus, or whatever, Tamba +1 them, where I roll with them, I challenge them, but I'm always trying to see what can I sharpen up in this student right here. So my point is, you don't have to spar every single day. And we deliberately separated a few years back, based on a suggestion by our friends in Miami, Florida, the Valente brothers, separating technique class and spar class. And students who want to stay, great. If you want to go home and rest tonight, fine. If you want to stay for sparring and watch, fine. If you want to do 2 rounds and then watch the rest, fine. Especially in that first 6 months where you're such a fragile state and there's a good chance that you'll quit after a few unpleasant rolls, which is the sad truth of jiu-jitsu as it stands. It's just the reality. We're teaching you how, hey, if you're going to spar, right, you can watch if you want, but if you're going to spar, do it with these tips and watch how those first 6 months turn into these amazing opportunities to collaborate, to have coaches, to build friendships on the mat, to give people the gratitude for helping you, versus being the most unpleasant, driving to the academy, death gripping the steering wheel in anxiety, sweating bullets while you get there because you feel like someone's going to rip your head off as soon as you show up. And you guys know what I'm talking about because all of you went through this. The black belts out there who run schools, most of you went through this unless you were born on the mat like we were. And even I had my anxiety phases. 11, 12 years old. I've told the story before. You guys, every single day I would come to class, I'd get beat up, smashed by the same freaking yellow belt every single time. And the crazy part is her name was Terry. Bad, you guys. I still have trauma from this. So if I was smart, I'd be like, hey, Terry, kind of show me what to do from here. Teach me how to escape this. Teach me how to get out of this choke. Man, but my ego kicked in and I didn't want to. My ego kicked in, I gotta go, boom. And what's crazy is that there are some people who come into sparring Or, either here at the academy, I want to get to spar now. Or at a new school, I want to go jiu-jitsu, I want to learn how to do MMA, I want to learn jiu-jitsu, I want to go spar, I want to go do what I see on TV. And they come in hard, like, I'm going to go for it.
Sparring can be exciting for some people. Like, some people, that's what they signed up for. Like,
yes.
I just want to go, I want to roll.
And here's all we have to say about that. When you come in, screw all this advice. Just come in and say, I'm going to freaking go hard. I'm going to just take necks and cash checks, And you come in there with that attitude, guess what? You're going to get beat. That's a fact. And the crazy part,
you're not going to learn very much.
Well, yeah, you're not going to absorb because it's an emotional role for you, number one. Number two, let me just say this. The harder the wood, the heavier the hammer. So you come in as an oak door who thinks it's impenetrable. We're going to get the freaking sledgehammer out, bring the SWAT team battering ram, Torrance PD, and ram through the oak door. You're going to get broken. It's just going to be way less pleasant. Okay. Whereas if you come in and say, no, you guys, what are you talking about right here? Here, I'm just, drywall. Let's learn some jiu-jitsu for this first 6 months. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I going to try? And you're the drywall. I'm going to say, oh, they're a malleable student who wants to grow. There's no need to freaking sledgehammer someone who is a much softer wood, so to speak, and is really just trying to learn and grow. You don't need to sledgehammer them.
Right. So then the question is, when can we just spar? When can we go full intensity sparring? Because people, they eventually will need to do that and will want to do that.
That's true. And there's no doubt that there are many students in the academy who I go with and it's just crazy chaos. When does someone cross the line as a training partner who I can do that with and really not have to hold back so much? Well, first of all, never within the first 6 months. At some point after the first 6 months of someone's sparring career, and this is the key, when their fascination with jiu-jitsu overcomes their frustration with jiu-jitsu, and you are 100% sure that a few perfectly timed chokes will not cause them to quit, that's when you can go full sparring intensity. This is a very specific moment, right? And I'm very careful with my training partners and our students here, and there are some purple belts who I go with. But guess what? When we're done, what do they look at me? Man, Henry, that was freaking amazing. Do you see? I might have just done 16 moves in a row and caught them in all kinds of, and they're like, I love this stuff. You see it? Versus someone else
running off the mat like,
man, Henry, why am I still alive? I don't even deserve to be living right now because I get beat so badly. No, they'll never experience that with me because, you see what I'm saying? I won't go there with them, and I know who they are. So the point is, yes, intense, all-out sparring is an important part of jiu-jitsu, and when me and my brother spar, it's like two grizzly bears trying to kill each other. That's the reality. But if I get caught in a slick move, I'm not going to quit. I'm too invested in the game. You guys understand? So there is a place for that. My point is, during that fragile first 6 months, you guys, if you just say, hey, I'm the hammer, they're the nail, and this wood is pretty rough, so I'm going to freaking sledgehammer. As the advanced student, we hope that you guys don't do that and you have more of the Hito no Henna approach. But if everyone in the world knew how to roll gentle and contributing and considerate and helpful and eager to help the partner, like I do with Tamba and every other student we have, when it's appropriate, if everyone knew how to roll like that, we wouldn't need to make this video. This video is not for the hammers.
And it's not up to
this
them.
video is for the nail or the wood. You know what I'm saying? To know how to.
Yes, it's not up to our training partners. We can't go into a sparring session expecting them to know all of this, to be, why can't you be more of a teacher to me and why can't you lead me? No, it's 100% up to you. So for you as the new student, you are the one responsible for creating this vibe.
The connections and your relationships that allow you to comfortably navigate and grow at a healthy, encouraging pace through those first 6 months.
Turning your enemies into allies, everything that we talked about in this video, but it's up to you. It's not, we can't blame our sparring partners for going too hard on us. We can't blame anyone else but ourselves, especially in the beginning, because we have to help create that environment.
Huge, you guys. Let me just say this. People always comment, videos, meet me in person. The two things they say when they meet me in person. Number one is, Henry, I didn't know you were so tall. Okay, so don't say that when you see me. Just say, Henry, I knew you were that tall.
You don't balance each other.
Your bios on Wikipedia says you're 6'4", and I know what 6'4" looks like. People always say you're taller in person, number one. Number two, right after, say, Henry, where's all the energy from? What kind of coffee are you drinking? You guys, there's no coffee going on in here.
Drink coffee.
Vegetable juice early in the morning, energy sandwich, you guys know the videos. But more importantly and more fueling than all the energy sandwiches and all the vegetable juice in the world is the gratification and the appreciation that I get from the world for teaching jiu-jitsu. And the fulfillment that I have from tying one hand and choking someone out, or submitting someone who's a really good guy, or like, you know, all the impressive things that you can do with jiu-jitsu and choke someone who's talented, that fulfillment exists. Don't get it twisted. I like being good at jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to ride that horse while I'm young and healthy and great. Eventually I'll be old and I can't do that anymore. The point is, the gratification I get from that pales in comparison to that which I feel and fuels me for helping the world learn jiu-jitsu. Just so we're clear. What I'm teaching you guys in this video with Eve's help is how to give that same sense of fulfillment to your everyday training partner so that they feel all excited like a henner for helping someone. That's it. I'm telling you, they will appreciate the opportunity to teach you, but they won't do it unless you open the door and say, hey, do you have a partner yet? No? All right, hey, can we roll? Great. All right. Well, listen, I don't know what I'm doing from the half guard. Can you show me one pass? Oh, beautiful. Now, can we start from there so I can try it? And off you go with the new sensei. Gratitude. And when you get tapped, hey, how'd you do that? If you guys do these things, I'm telling you, you're going to create allies out of enemies. You're going to learn how to focus on survival over submission, and they're going to teach you every step of the way. And once you pop your head out after 6 months of a tornado, it doesn't have to actually be that bad, actually. If you do what we're telling you, it won't be such a freaking blender. But after 6 months of sparring with collaborative training partners, you're going to have your ground, and you're going to say, okay, I get it, 6 months to a year or 2 years, whatever it is. Then you're going to say, all right, I'm good. I'm not going to, no matter what someone catches me in, I'm going to be fascinated and blown away. And I'm never going to quit jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to train healthy and intelligently and safely, but I'm going to train hard for the rest of my life, and that's it. Off we go.
And here we are.
You guys, this is so major. If you know someone who either A, spars like a freaking maniac, or B, is about to quit, or C, has already quit, you owe it to the world and to them to share this video, pass it along. 90% of people who start jiu-jitsu quit in the first 6 months because they didn't have this information. Literally, they just drowned in the freaking sea of sparring, and they never came back, and they post comments on my video, and they appreciate our efforts. My whole point is, let's not wait till they quit to give them the insight. Here we are talking about it. Help us spread the word. It's a needed, as many other videos are, announcement and public service for jiu-jitsu, and we hope that if this keeps 1 or 2 people on the mat and say, no, I'm going to figure it, I'm going to navigate this, versus this is crazy, why am I doing this, why are we 2 grown people choking each other? If it keeps a few people on the mat, it was worth it. And I'm glad Eve was here to be part of this. I'm glad baby Gracie got to be part of this talk, because they're going to come one day too where he's 11 years old. There's going to be a tough girl on the mat who's going to choke him out, and he's going to come home crying. And I'm going to say, son, log on to YouTube. Watch some videos of your pregnant mom.
I'm actually going to probably have to watch this video a few times when I get back to sparring after this pregnancy.
You guys, we're here to help, and any questions, post them in the comments. Send an email, info@gracieacademy.com. Can't wait to meet you. I'm going to Australia to help our good friend Ronda Rousey, UFC champ, at the UFC in Melbourne on November 15th, 2015. And I'm going to do super seminars in Sydney and Melbourne. Sydney is November 8th, which is a Sunday. And then on November 14th, we're going to do Melbourne. You guys, 2 seminars. Melbourne. 2 days, 4 seminars each day. That's 8 seminars total, 16 hours of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu mastery.
Crazy.
You're going to love it. It's going to change your life forever. And let me just say this. If we roll, it's going to be you plus 1. It's not going to be Henner, angry Henner. He doesn't exist. He's gone. Much respect. I'll see you guys in Australia. The rest of you guys, keep up the good work, and don't quit no matter what you do.